the passionate leader, because leadership without passion is just a title.
Meeting. We got a collapse in the garage. Get the squad back equipment in here. We got an IV pond to a firefighter.
Get that island urgent. Transmit a second alarm.
This is where titles end and leadership begins. Ask yourself, what does it look like when somebody refuses to coast through the fire service and instead dedicates their entire career to sharpening the next generation? Because today's guest is the definition of that. Tom Marchiano stepped into the fire service in 2004 and never once hit the brakes. He climbed the ranks from lieutenant to captain to assistant chief and now serves as the chief of the Chester Fire Department. He earned his national instructor certs not because he needed another patch, but because the training is his core of who he is. He's been a 911 dispatcher for 16 years, which means he doesn't just see the job from the fire ground. He understands the stress, the split-second decisions, and the human impact on both sides of the radio. And he brings that perspective into every drill, every class, and every leadership moment. He's a lead contributor to the Firehouse Tribune, the host of Station Talk podcast, and the founder of Tri-State Fire Training, a platform built to sharpen firefighters and officers across the region. The man teaches fundamentals, technical rescue, leadership, and mindset because he actually lives it. Tom's passion is building better firefighters, better officers, and better people. He's been mentored by some of the best, and he's paying that forward to every new member, every rookie class, and every aspiring leader who crosses his path. So ask yourself one more thing. Are you leading in a way that leaves the fire service better than you found it? Because Tom Marchiano sure as hell is. Welcome to the show. And before we get too terribly far and get into the questions, what is something that is not in this bio that the world deserves to know a little bit more?
Oh, I'm a nerd. You can see like my little Funko Pops behind me. I got some Power Rangers, Carlson Brothers,
Sure.
Batman. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm
Smooth. I
definitely
like it.
a little bit of a nerd, no doubt. So
There's not to do. Everybody has their own thing that they like to collect, but whether people want to admit to it or not, it could be rocks, it could be stickers, it could be those, whatever the case is.
you know what it is? I think when I collect these, like I've been known to, watch old school Transformers or old school Voltron or something. For
Sure.
me, I think it's the one part of my life that, excuse me, I'm turning off the fire world for a little bit.
Yes. Okay. I love it, and we'll touch on that a little bit later, because I think one of the things that at least I've seen from a lot of different people's posts and stuff is that the identity crisis, so to speak, if you will, in the fire service. Of we're so it's ingrained in us. It's our life. It's our lifeblood, and I'd love to hear what people do. So we'll touch on that in a little bit, but we got to where you are, or who you are now. Why don't you walk the viewers and the listeners through, who Tom is and how you got to where you are and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so pretty much like every young little boy, you're 3-4 years old, you're walking down the street with your parents and a fire truck goes by and you're like,
Mhm.
I need to be in that fire truck. So kind of stuck with me pretty much my whole life. Growing up, one of my best friends in school, his father was a fire chief. And when I was at his house, I would always see him like, go out for fire calls or whatever the case may be. Go down there for the pancake breakfast and see him. He'll let us touch on the rigs, stuff like that. So he's actually really the one that kind of really made me want to get in.
Sure.
The cool part about that is when I became an assistant chief, he was actually becoming chief of department. So
Oh, that's awesome.
the guy who really kind of got me in, I was able to work under as a fire chief.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's neat to see it come full circle like that, huh?
Yeah. So when I hit 16 years old, I went in there, dropped off my application. Unfortunately, the doctor that was doing the physicals had passed away during that time. So
Okay.
I actually had to wait a few months. Like I was a member, but I had to wait almost the whole summer in order to get into an active role because they had to find a new doctor and stuff like that. But
Yep.
been doing it ever since. It was always like my thing. Like you go to sports, like I played sports growing up like when I was younger before I turned 16. But once I turned 16, firefighting was just like it. That was
Yeah.
like, you know, we always used to joke around some guys, like 'cause some kids in the firehouse, they would be like, "Hey, um, we're gonna I'm gonna join, spring baseball or fall ball or whatever they're gonna do." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna join spring firefighting." Like, you know,
That's awesome, brother. I
and
love
that's
it.
what I did. And that's, obviously I still worked and stuff like that. But when I wasn't at
Yeah.
work, and I hung out there, and it became that point in time. All my friends, when we were in the fire academy for Fire One and stuff like that, like they all became regular friends. We were hanging out with them and the whole world. And ever since then, I just never really looked back. Mm, Never really wanted to be an officer for a little bit.
Mm,
I was very, very comfortable being a fireman in the back for the few years I was, because you see the officers and they're always like, "Oh, they're giving direction." I'm like, "No, I want to be the guy that's doing that?"
sure, sure, yeah.
So when it was time for me to become a lieutenant, it was almost like I didn't really have a choice.
Okay.
Like, they were kinda grooming me, like, they were like, "Well, you like it or not, you're our next guy, like, you're it. You're gonna be good
Here
for
you
this."
go.
And then right, exactly. And then I didn't really wanna be a chief or a captain, and it's like, as you're going up the ranks, it's like, "You know what? If I'm putting this work in, I might as do the whole thing."
Mm.
Best thing ever. I'm now entering my final year as chief. We have term limits.
Okay,
I'll be
alright.
done at the end of 2026, which is fine because, in my opinion, I look at it as the way of, it's just not ending the fire service, I'm starting my next chapter of it.
Yeah. So let's look into term limits as far as almost like presidency stuff where like you can only be chief for so many like
Yeah.
your lifetime or is it consecutive?
So consecutives. How
Gotcha.
it
Okay.
goes is, we do 1-year terms, technically,
Hmm.
but you can be in that position for a total of 3 years in a row.
Oh, okay.
After your 3rd year, you have to either go somewhere else or vacate that position. It's interesting because in a group message I'm in with about, mm, 40 other guys, we have this big buff chat, and we just shoot the shit. And, we obviously make fun of each other and stuff like that, but there's a lot of knowledge that gets put in it too.
Hmm.
And one guy said that the term limits are good because it gets guys out who don't need to be there anymore. Like, there are some
Sure.
departments that don't, and there's chiefs that are in for 30 years. That's way too long. A guy actually rebutted back, and I didn't really think of it this way. He was like, but to the contrary of that, it
Mm.
also gets guys out who maybe shouldn't be leaving yet either.
Yes.
And it kinda,
Yep.
like, made me like, I like to think I'm a good fire chief. Like, I'll be ready to go at the end of my term because the guys behind me are solid, and I know I'm leaving it in good hands.
Yeah.
But it kinda made me think, it's like, maybe I do still have more to give for this. But, um so that's how the term limits work. The lieutenants and captains are the same way.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yep.
and
It
then
it's unique to say the least, honestly, because I think what so where I'm at, there's no, it's not a voted in, it's a, you're appointed by the chief, so to speak. Um, but I gotta tell you, so when I first heard, my wife grew up in Pennsylvania, a small background story of us. In their departments down there do a lot of the vote-ins and stuff like that. And me, I was like, how do you combat the popularity contests? And I guess, one way to do it is with term limits. That being said, does that mean that you have to completely step away from the department as a whole, or do you just go back to being a backstep firefighter?
nope, you can go back to being a backstop fireman. You can go in as one of the assistant chief spots. You can go in as a captain or
Okay.
lieutenant. But the way that I kinda groomed, and I didn't do it all, obviously, the companies have their own elections and stuff like that. But
Yeah. Yep.
the way that I tried to groom things as a chief and build a culture was the fact that when I get out, it's my term as chief, there's guys in all these offshore spots that are ready to keep moving, so
Amen.
that I don't have to, like, get back in there. I've done the last I did, essentially, it's gonna be 9 years as fire chief. I did 3 as or 2 as a captain. I did, like, 5 or 6 as a lieutenant.
Mm,
So it's like, at the same time to where I feel that I can give more, I'm almost, like, ready to take that break. Like I gave a lot to this, and it's time for me to be able to step back. I've already told the guys behind me, like, when I'm out as chief, like, I got the training business. I want in the training officer spot.
Yeah.
You know, let me build up some training for the department. Let me do that kind of
Right.
stuff. And rather than me getting out, not being a part of anything, like I said earlier, I want it to be the next chapter,
Amen.
and
Yeah.
let the experience, like, I'm not from some busy department, and I don't try to ever preach that. Like, I know where I'm from. I know what we see, what we don't see. I know that I don't have as much experience in, going to fires 2, 3 times a day like some people do, but
Mm,
the experience I do have do bring some things, and the guys I am bringing on in my training business do have that heavy
yeah.
experience. So, I rather use this as, like, my background, like, "Hey, this is where I'm at. I did all this," and when I speak to volunteers and stuff like that, and I'm a dispatcher or whatever, I can say to them, like, "You could preach everything to me because 'cause I've been through it. I know what it's like."
Yeah.
So, rather than having the conversation of me being like, "But yeah, that's a tough predicament you're in," I could say, "Hey, you know what? I was in that predicament, and here's what we're
Yeah.
doing."
I love it. It offers you the potential to take the training side of the world and make it a little more of consulting too.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
now through dispatching and stuff. Would you dispatch for your department as well, or
Oh,
is it
yeah.
two totally? So
Nope.
walk us through that. So what is it like when you're stuck in the chair and you guys get called in for a working building fire and you know that you're stuck to the console?
Okay.
That's got to be a whole
So
different thing.
so my county, I work for Orange County, that's the county that we're in,
Okay.
and we dispatch for fire, police, EMS, and we do the call taking.
Okay.
So, here's where it gets kinda tricky. When you are sitting on police, fire or police or, like, call taking, and you're missing a fire, it kinda really sucks.
Yeah.
But when you're dispatching it out, it still sucks that you're not there, but I still kinda have, like, an involvement in it, so it's not as bad.
All right. All right. I like
Yep,
that.
especially for my own department because I can kinda make some decisions, like, if the assistant chief is on there, he's not gonna have to worry about making a decision because he knows that I know it too, and I can kinda,
Sure.
like, pinpoint it, and I've had guys from all over the county, like, that get fires that I'm on them, like, they love hearing me on the radio,
Yeah.
and, like, I've had guys say, "Just get me what you think is best," and I'll send what I think is best to them,
That's
It's
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
right, and it's good to have that kinda trust in you because a lot of times, like I said, like you said earlier about me, I get on both sides. So there's times when I'm on the fire scene of my dispatcher, like I know I'm having a fire and I'm like, all right, Rich is on there. It's going to be great. He knows exactly what I'm going to need. So that's how it kind of goes. But it's not as bad sitting in the seat as you think it would be because you
Fair.
still kind of have involvement. Now, with that being said, we also have some pretty good staff in our office and stuff like that can, even though they work in the office at times, they can still dispatch.
Okay.
Um, so if it's something like heavy duty, they'll come out and take my spot and be like, "Hey, go to fire."
Dude, I love that.
Yep. It all
That
depends
teamwork
what
is
it is. Like
awesome.
a regular residential
Sure.
fire, it's not gonna really happen, but something like catastrophic type thing, like they're coming out and saying, "Hey, get out of here."
That's crazy. That's honestly it's the way it should be in the fire service, or I should say, in the first responder realm. Anyways, is having that understanding of man, his resource use is going to be far more um greater at the scene and not sitting here, handcuffed when somebody can do it themselves, and it
Correct.
speaks
Yeah.
wonders for the team.
Yep.
Yeah, because I only asked. I had looked into getting a part-time gig at our communications center. I was like, man, I don't know how I would handle if we got bagged out for a building fire and actually being able, because it's the luxury of where we're at. It's literally it's a two-man show when we're fully staffed, but generally speaking, in the night hours, it's only one dispatcher at a time. So you're stuck.
Really?
Yeah, you're total. We're so our communication center only does three municipalities. It's us,
Okay.
our host town, and then there's a smaller town to our west
Okay.
that and so call management wise, we are not only geographically the middle child, so to speak, we're also the middle of the road as far as call percentage runs too. So we are, the town to our west might get them for maybe 100 calls a year on the fire EMS side for that community and so um it's all scale based type stuff. But yeah, they don't right now. I think they're trying to get back up to two, to run the mid shift, but it can be pretty damn desolate over there sometimes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah. Yep, no doubt.
oh man, I love it. So we've talked about tri-state. So why don't you kind of walk us through how you got into that? What was, the brainchild and everything and anything that is tri-state?
So it's no surprise that like you said, I've had like the passion for training. Like I remember what it was like when I was growing up training. I still train today. Like I'm still taking classes and stuff. You know, you should never stop. I don't care
Mm,
what it is. But I just there were some instructors that kind of left such an impact on me that I was always like, that's the route I want to go. Like I want to be able to do this. I want to leave that impact on the fire service. I want to be able to be like someone's like, hey, Tom Marchiano and his guys at Tri-State Fire Training taught me this cool thing. Like,
mm,
I'm not even trying to teach like the crazy stuff. Like the basics are important.
mhm.
And sometimes you go to some of these fire departments and you talk to them, and the amount of some people that just don't even train the basics is crazy to me. Or because simply they're a smaller department and they don't have the manpower to really teach that your drill night is being taught by a 20-year-old kid. Not that
Yeah.
he might not have some experience, but he may not have, a lot of guys on it that or a lot of
Right, right.
ideas, which isn't against them, but that's where we can kind of come in. And I wanted to do this for the last few years. So about 2 years ago, I kind of doing some outlines, some game plans. How can I go about this? Um, I have my own presentation that I go to conferences for, and departments book me. And I knew at some point I wanted to make it a big thing. Well, at the beginning of this year, I went to a department and they couldn't really pay me because they have a thing in their bylaws that they have to pay a business.
Okay.
So I was like, and that wasn't the first person to tell me that.
Mm,
So I was like, all right, well, I need to at least get my speaking engagements under like an LLC type thing.
sure.
So I created Tri State Fire Training. And it was at that point, I was like, you know what? We're just going to run for it right now. We're going to do what we need.
Yeah.
So I created it back in like August or September. I've been slowly trying to get guys on board who are have the same beliefs I do in the fire service, the same passion for training. Um, I'm getting guys that are career guys because they are, seeing it more often. But my
Mm,
kicker to that is every single one of them are also volunteer firemen who
awesome.
are active. And my way
Yep.
for that is because I know for a fact that when you bring in these big training companies, not that we're big, we're small, obviously,
Yeah.
but when you bring us in, it's usually volunteer departments who are doing it.
Mm,
So I want a group of instructors who are experienced, but also know what the volunteer fire service is like. Hopefully in 2026, we get to the hands-on stuff. I have a few courses like outlined that I want to talk with the guys that we're going to implement. I just have to go through, the proper channels, get the insurances all set up and stuff like that. And
yeah.
that's where I'm at. And it takes a little bit of time to build up, but we're getting some good followings. I'm getting some interest from people. I got someone from Maine reached out to me about coming up to speak there. Um,
Nice.
I'm starting to, you know, buy some purchases here and there for equipment. I'm gonna hope my brother-in-law is a welder. He's gonna build me a flat roof simulator because he's also a fireman. So
Nice. I love
that
it.
does that on the side. And there's some good prop companies out there I'm gonna buy some stuff from. And then my department was getting rid of some saws that we didn't use anymore. We're just replacing them and they still run. So I'm like, well, these are mine.
Yeah. I'll be happy to
And
take those.
right,
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly. And we're gonna have some equipment, but the other thing is I want when we go to training, I want the departments that we're going to utilize their equipment because I want them to be training on what they use in their everyday life. Granted, for the most part, a saw is kind of a saw, but if your saw starts different than mine, I want you to know how to start your saw.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
Nah.
that's where that
I
kind of came from. I'm hoping it really grows. We're trying to stick to the tri-state area for right now until hopefully we can grow a little bit. Um, I have I guess I can kind of announce it's going to be getting announced soon. I have a collaboration with Front Seat Fire Academy
okay.
or
Yep.
yeah, whatever, Front Seat Academy. He's out in California.
Mike, he's a
He's
great guy.
oh, he's putting out great stuff.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
him and I were texting this morning, so we're gonna try to do a lecture based thing as like a joint thing that we can kind of
Mm.
do some presentations around, and hopefully that picks up. So that'll be good. But yeah, that'll be getting announced sometime. I mean, it probably be both before this episode comes out now, but yeah, so it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. It's amazing what social media brings to the fire
Mm-hmm.
service.
Oh, dude,
I
without a doubt.
understand the downfalls of it and I respect the downfalls of it, but it has allowed me to meet so many great people, yourself,
Yeah.
Mike. I met Nick through um I met Nick through the social media through Firehouse Tribune stuff. And it's funny because in the Firehouse Tribune, Nick and I have actually only been together in person twice.
No freaking dude.
Yes.
That it is. It's blows my mind because so of course when I put out the thing as far as you guys, it blends so smoothly with how you guys are connected because dude, I would have guessed you guys were like, next door neighbors type thing. That's pretty
Yep.
cool.
Oh, yeah. No, we talk every day, like through
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram, usually sending reels and bullshit like that, like normal friends do. But we started talking in 2020. I came on board on that. I met him in 2023 for the first time
No
at a
freaking
conference in
way.
Connecticut. And
Yeah.
then earlier this year, I did a presentation at his department. And that
Mm,
was the only 2 times we've ever
no
actually
shit.
been
I love it.
together. You would like you said, people have said it to me too. They would assume that Nick and I are, like, hanging out, doing stuff all the time together, and
Yeah.
it's just not what it is. And he only lives an hour away. Like, he's
That
not
dude,
even far
that's
from me. Yep.
it. To Mike. Oh, he was one of our guests on the show earlier when I first launched. The dude's on. He's on to something with what he's
But
got
yeah,
as far as that,
he's
and
yeah.
I was
I'll tell
super
you what,
stoked to be able to get him
I
on.
there's it's always funny because you always get the East Coast versus West Coast thing, but
Yeah.
when I had about, like, an hour Zoom call with him about what we were trying to do, what I'm doing, what he's doing. Um, and the guys that he's working with and the stuff that they're putting out, like, they're putting out great stuff. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be, they're on to something out there, and that's where we think we can really kinda put something together and make it work, and that's what it's about. There's a lot of these fire training companies out there,
Mm,
and there are a lot of ones that are really good. There are also a lot of ones that are small, and not that they're not good, they're just trying to start up, and
right.
instead of some of the bigger ones kinda bashing the smaller ones, if we can collab and get stuff together, like, that's a
Oh,
big
100%.
you know, it's a
Yeah,
big
dude,
thing.
without a doubt. I'm super stoked that's cool. Um, so does kind of having to step back from being a chief is it kind of buying you a little bit more time to focus more on tri-state, or is it just coincidental timing?
So, I think it's just coincidental timing. It is gonna allow me to be, um, focused a little bit more on it.
Mm,
Um, my job's also gonna allow me to do that. We are actually switching to 12-hour shifts starting
awesome.
today.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna have off, like, every other weekend. So, it's
Well,
like,
that'll be cool.
it'll be
Yeah.
nice to allow me to do traveling and stuff like that. And the group of instructors I'm trying to build, like, I'm telling these guys flat out, "You might only get used, depending what we get booked, once or twice a year." But, like,
Sure.
you're not but none of us are in it for the money. Like, we're in it
Right.
for, yeah, we're gonna get paid, we're gonna make sure we're being taken care of a little bit, but we're in it to make sure that these guys are getting the good training. So, I'm trying to get enough guys on the cadre that when we go out, I don't have to pick and choose. I can just say who's gonna come, who's
Mm,
available. This way, it's not like I only have 5 guys, only 2 can make it, so what am I gonna do here? Like, I wanna have
Yeah. I
a
hear you,
big
brother.
group. And on top of that also, like, I can be a cocky, conceited guy at times, obviously, but
We all
and
can,
it's not
dude.
because at the end of the day, like, you can call me an asshole, whatever you wanna do, but I'm good at what I'm doing,
Mm.
especially in the fire chief thing, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, I'm
No,
proud
be
of it.
proud of
I'm
it.
good at what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Do I
Amen.
make mistakes? Yes. Do I still learn things? 100%. But I'm still good at what I'm doing. And that's where I try to kinda get to, like, the humble side of it that I'm starting tri-state fire training, but the more important thing to me about doing it for me to be successful with it is I wanna be successful in it. Yeah, it's my own business, but I want my friends to be part of it.
Mm.
Like, guys that are on my same level that wanna have that same mentality towards, you know, I've had guys come up to me that have told me they don't want any part of instructing. They wanna do, like, logistic stuff. Like, "Hey, like, you need me to get there and
Sure.
help run saws and set up an obstacle or something like that, like, I'm your guy." Like, and that's
That's
fine because we
huge.
need that.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone can be the guy who's gonna be teaching and doing that stuff. We need the guys who, in the middle of a class, we don't stop it and be like, "This saw broke." We can be like, "Hey,
Mm.
yo, can you do me a favor, fix this saw for a second?" And that's fine, and that's what they wanna do.
That's there's a lot of there's a huge thing to be learned from that because there's always the behind the scenes people that really make things work. So that's good to be able to get the logistics. I love it.
Yeah,
No,
exactly, and
that's
it's the
great.
thing, like, I've had guys from who are a little bit older than me reach out. I've had guys from who are younger, like, there's a kid in my department who created a training thing for us, and it was, like, top notch, like and he's 20 years old, and I'm,
Oh
like, looking at
shit,
him like,
yeah.
"This is good stuff, dude, like, this is awesome," and he's into the job, like, he loves it, but he's someone that I'll probably bring on, like, yeah,
Mm.
maybe you're not gonna be teaching too many people, but you might be solid at helping set something up or, even do, like, a forceful entry thing with us because he's obviously learning something, like,
Yeah.
you bring something to the table, you can bring something to the table for me.
Mm. I love it. With that brings up a really good point. So what is the most exciting part and thought process behind you that, when you're getting the business up and running that, with a generational shift, I should say, because we're definitely, I feel at least we're getting into a generational shift of going more and more into the firefighters that ask the why questions, like why do we do this and why do we do that? What about that is either sets you off or, either turns you off or turns you on, I should say.
So, the why is a big turn on for me.
Mm.
I've been through fire trainings with instructors where they were good, they knew their stuff, and I knew they knew their stuff, but they've also, like we'll just use forceful entry as an example just because it's an easy topic, but it's like, "Take this axe and Halligan, go force that door open." But they're
Yeah.
not, like,
Yep.
showing me how to do it. They're not now, granted, there's different ways to force a door, obviously, but they weren't showing me how, and in a young mind like me, what that's showing me is, alright, he probably knows what he's talking about, I'm not gonna say that, but
Yeah.
if he's gonna show me, I'm getting a visual of how to do it, and it's showing me that he knows how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and it comes from experience on his part, so the why is big for me. I'll take this water bottle and I'll go up to and I'll say, "Hey, we're gonna do this or whatever, and put it back on, however you gotta do it." And I will show that I know how to do it. I'll walk someone through it, and then I'll let them do it on their own, and then we can
Yeah.
critique afterwards.
Sure.
So I think Nick has built the Firehouse Tribune, and he's done the good thing. He's a big why guy too. Uh, so we actually did a whole episode, I think, at one point on knowing like the why on things, and I think it's a big. I don't know. I think it's something that has always been around, but
Mm.
like you kind of just mentioned, I think you see it more now.
Yes.
I think you're seeing it a lot more. And I don't know if that's just because the generation that's coming up, because a lot of times things that we were using in the fire service growing up, we were using as kids helping our parents do yard work and stuff.
True.
that
Yeah.
has seemed to kinda go away, so it's like, "Well, why are we cutting the saw with this?" When we knew why coming in because we had to do it in our yard.
Yes.
And I don't care what people are saying, you're cutting a tree down on a wires call, or you're cutting a tree down in your yard, it's the same thing.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
so I think the why has become a very big thing. I think the mentality of the new generation has to man up and become part of us is wrong. I think we need to accept the fact that we're the dying breed and the people coming up is where we need to kind of focus our training on. And it
Yeah.
doesn't take much. Like, it doesn't take much to implement different types of training. I am very successful and I've built a culture knowing the why with everything because when I go to my firehouse, I don't just go in my office and sit there. If I have
Right.
a group of 16-year-old kids sitting at the table upstairs, I'm going up there, I'm sitting down, and I'm treating those 16-year-old kids like they're my best friends.
Right. Right.
'Cause I'm not ashamed because as a 37-year-old fire chief, yeah, my friends are 19, 20 years old because they're in my firehouse, they're my friends.
Sure.
You know, I know their lives, I know their parents, I get to know their girlfriends, and when you take that initiative to get to know the ins and out of them, you're showing them that you actually care. That to
I
them,
love it.
you're more you're not just a fireman to me, you're someone I care about, like and then by doing that, if so and so walks in one day and he seems off, I'm gonna pick right up on that,
That's
and I'll be
huge.
like, "Bro,
Yep.
what's up with you? Like, what do you got going on?" You know? And they're gonna shout because men don't talk about that shit, or they're gonna be, um, they're gonna talk about it, and they're gonna open up because one of the things I talk about in my presentation is that sometimes these people join the fire service and they're in it for more than the fire service. They're
Hmm.
trying to find that point of, what am I trying to say? Acceptance.
Yes.
Like, they wanna look for that. Maybe the home life isn't that great. They come in, you might become the older, bigger brother. Like, you're a parental figure, you're a sibling figure to them. Like, it's way more than just being a firefighter. And, how are these guys supposed to trust you if you walk in, you don't even acknowledge their presence?
Ooh. It's huge, and I just had this conversation with somebody about the generational, and I think I think you and I are in that generation between the why, and then the previous generation before us was the because I said so. So
Correct.
it's I believe that our fire service is going to live or die by being able to, by who can teach and explain the whys versus and I think I think that's what makes it extremely exciting. Um I was talking to somebody the other day about the fact that at least with our agency, we used to be the more blue collar, work hard. The officers lived in town because they had their own auto repair shops or
Right.
they
Yep.
ran the local bus barn. And now we've switched from that to a more educated. We have guys up until a recent retirement. We had a nuclear physicist on our fire department. We had somebody who worked for the government at the FAA level. Actually, we still do. We have a couple of them. Air traffic control, like super smart, more officey based educational or higher educated individuals, and it's great because they will ask. They're like, "Hey, why are our fire trucks red? Why did we have a yellow stripe with a blue pin, on either side of it, down the side of it? Why is it a Z shape? Why don't we have our patch on the door? Why do we, why does the chainsaw always die when I get it up on the roof to vent, a well-involved building?"
Correct.
And
So, and
it's just so fun, brother.
I got 2 things on that. I'll go
Oh
back
yeah,
to
please.
the guys in different jobs, but we had a group of guys in the firehouse that in my firehouse when I came up, they were older guys, but they were good at teaching the why. And life happens, guys die off, you know what it is, the old
Yeah,
generation, they die. Like, it's what it is, people die. It sounds morbid, but it's how it works.
we're all gonna do it, dude.
Yep, and I think my big fear is that and why do the why so much is because I see that generation dying. I see not a lot of people explain the why now. I feel like that's just gonna be a gone thing, and I don't
Yeah.
want that to happen. So it's it's funny because like, you look at the older guys we had in they always die in order, the oldest guy, then the guy below him, and it's funny because like, you look down the chart, guys left in the firehouse, and I'm 37, and I'm, like, number 6th in line to go next, so it's like, you know, like, this is getting kinda scary.
Right, right.
There was one of the guys, he's still around, thank God, but he unfortunately, has Alzheimer's, so he's starting to not really remember anything. He's not active anymore, obviously, but he was a great guy. And it saddens me that the generation of youth that we have in our firehouse now didn't get to learn from his experience. I
Yeah.
can remember when I was a new lieutenant, I'd get in the front seat and he would never tell you what to do. But like if dispatch was asking you a question or if another responding unit was asking you a question, you could look over at him and he would just simply shake his head yes or no. And he'd give you the answer by without actually like
Yeah.
stepping on it. And it's sad to see that some generation isn't going to get that experience. So that's where I hope to build with tri-state fire training, with my experience in the firehouse, just being the senior guy when I get out as chief. Like that's who I want to be for these guys.
Honestly, being involved, and if you can answer the whys, there's no way that you won't be that guy.
Correct.
And I feel, from personal experience, I have seen older generational members that couldn't explain the why, and they tried pushing the, well, because I said so. And we've tried to use we'll use attendance as an example, not even a training thing, attending calls. Man, where is everybody? It's 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. We should be here. There's no ball game or anything like that. And so of course, I had, I sit down with our core group of officers. I'm like, guys, we can't do that anymore. The days of trying to shame somebody into showing up on a volunteer department are gone. You cannot.
Yeah, it's done.
They are giving as much as they can. And I mean, so we do fundraisers and stuff like that to help kind of offset the tax base here in town. And it used to be one of those, we'd do a fundraiser in the summertime, and it was always show up and give what you can. And, it
Of
felt
course.
really good to say that. But then, after it happens and you realize, oh, Joe only showed up for 20 minutes on Saturday to help, change the trash bags, and then he left. Well, unbeknownst to us, Joe works, 90 hours a week. And that 20 minutes that he gave us were literally his only 20 waking minutes of the entire weekend, when the rest was all tied to work or, life's responsibilities. And like, now how does that make that person feel? So it was kind of a hard conversation to have with our officers to be like, guys, we are above the national average as far as percent of members who show up for calls. I don't know what
Yeah.
to tell you. We are not getting, um, I mean, we had what, nine members show up for a 2 o'clock in the morning CO call. I got 9 members, got us 2 pieces and 3 chiefs on scene. And I'm like, that you're getting better than a fully staffed career department, guys. Like, I don't know what to, and it's funny
Sometimes
because, no, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so the problem that we ran into is one of the firefighters was like, yeah, it was only 3 firefighters. I'm like, there were also 3 chiefs. If the 3 chiefs were just standing around, they're not doing a good enough job at resource management, because we can still put a pack on and go meter the building. Like, get to
Correct.
work.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm not, and that's a big thing too, because we have the nighttime problem. Like,
Mm,
a lot of times after 10 p.m., things kind of shut down. But I have some things with that. Like, everyone's busy, I get it. But some of my biggest offenders on the overnight are the officers. So
yes. Okay.
sometimes if the officer's not coming out, why is the member gonna come out? But
Valid point.
yeah, we're but you look at like our daytime stuff, like our numbers are like high. Like,
Sure.
we require like to vote in our elections, you have to have like our 15% or whatever it is of our calls.
Uh. Yep.
We had 75 people that was able to vote. So like that means this many people is coming out and making at least 15% of the calls.
Yeah.
Like, so and I think that's a build the culture thing. And I think that the overnight calls get a little because sometimes they are. It's the same places overnight all the time. And I get it. And
Sure.
no one wants
Yeah.
to get out of bed. And sometimes if they're right in the village, like the 3 chiefs, we live right here in the village. So sometimes it's like we're there, and I'm always one of those guys, I want my guys to get out and do the work.
Mhm.
Sometimes if you get there and you can tell it's something so stupid right away, it's like, well, now I look stupid if I have the department check things. So
Yeah.
we try to kinda even that out a little bit. Hopefully, it's gonna get a little bit better. We had a nice discussion at the officer meeting, good ideas from guys, and
Mhm.
that's where I like my officers stepping up and taking the initiative and stuff like that. But a lot of our officers, department wide, are busy guys. Like,
Yeah. Oh, sure.
our whole lineup is pretty much we have some engineers. There's like one or two guys that work an 8 to 5 job, and the rest
Mhm.
are all dispatchers, firefighters, police officers. Like, we're all over the place. We're on all
Yeah.
different night shifts, all different tours. And sometimes the city fireman, like, you go home after working a 24-hour shift, your wife was just dealing with the baby or whatever for whatever reason. You come home, that automatic alarm comes in. The last thing you're going to do is be like, "Oh, I'm going to go to automatic alarm." And she's going to look at you like, you're
No,
not
you're
for real.
not.
Right. Exactly. Like, and that's where guys kind of have to understand things. So we do try our best. I think for the most part, we are pretty solid with that stuff, just on the overnights. But Point Me department doesn't have that issue.
If it, you won't. Yeah.
You know,
Just for what's your rough number of annual calls you guys make or get, I should say?
600.
Yeah, dude. So that's really not all that. I mean, 15% of that, you're talking what, 60,
Yeah.
75 calls roughly.
Give or take, yeah.
That ain't bad. I mean, you're
Nope.
talking what, less than 10 a month that you got to make.
Yeah. And there's some days, like, people can have good days. Like, last week, we had some guys who were off, we sat at the fire house, we ran 9 calls. Like, you just
Jeez.
made 9 calls, like, you have to
Yeah,
have
and
10 a
you were
month, you just did it in 1 day.
yeah,
Like,
you knocked out. You got 29 days of freebies.
right, exactly. Sometimes that's how it goes, it all depends. We used to run more. They put guardrails in down the median of our highway.
Okay.
Oh, so now they're hitting the guardrails and no one's really getting us hurt, so we don't go out if there's no
Sure.
injuries.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
before that, they weren't
Yeah.
stopping, they were just crossing over. We were getting, like,
No way.
accidents up the wazoo, and it all changed. I don't even remember what year it was, but it was a while ago. Um, we had, like, 3 fatals in 4 days on the
Holy
same stretch of the
smokes.
highway, and that was the point where the state's like, "Nope, that's it. This is going up," like,
It's about time, right? Ugh,
yeah,
I feel that.
and but so I like to think we're running things good. You see that kind of membership,
Mm,
that kind of percentage, like, guys are showing up, and I get it. There's times I don't wanna go to some calls, and sometimes the only reason why I am going is because I have the car. Like,
mm.
you know,
Right, right.
that's where it's kinda like a different thing, and I do hold my officers to a higher expectation.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
even the guys who are in the city, like, I try to understand the home style. I don't have a kid, I don't have to worry about it. They're all those kids are all my god kids and stuff, but,
Yeah,
it's
right,
like
right.
so I understand it all, but it's like, at the same time, we do take the oath to be the officer, we kinda have to lead by example. And for the most part, we are solid. I'm not trying to knock my guys, they're all great, and that's actually where it comes into what you mentioned earlier about guys who do different jobs. Firefighting's a team, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna come in, you're gonna get in that rig, you're gonna have your driver, officer, and 4 guys. Well, of those
Mhm.
4 guys, outside of firefighting, they have different backgrounds. So you're putting a team together. You get a guy that does HVAC work. Like, we're going to a furnace malfunction. Guess what? That's the guy I want
Yes.
going in first.
Amen, dude. Right.
You get a guy who's like a construction worker or something. Guess what? My man's going to the roof. Like, he's the guy that
Right.
I'm sending up there to do this kind of stuff. And then we have obviously our city firemen. They're good at whatever they're doing.
Sure.
But
Yep.
it's almost like I don't need you to be perfect at everything. I
Right.
need you to understand how it works.
I like that.
Like,
That's a great
if
mentality.
you are I don't need you to be good at going to the roof. I don't need you to wanna go to the roof. I just need you to know that how the roof operates, if you're on the line, how you need to be in communication with them. I use sports as an example in, like, everything I do.
Mm.
I use it an example as for coaching. I use that as like a fire chief. If the team behind you, meaning your fire department, is not performing well, something at the top needs to change
Yeah.
because
Amen,
you're
dude.
not motivating them how you need to. You're not giving them a training. You're not doing whatever it is. Same thing in the rig. You get on the rig, and just because you don't know what you do on the roof, it's like football team. The tight end doesn't play defense, but he knows what the linebacker's doing.
Sure. Right.
You should know all points of the job. I teach that too. Even outside of it, I do. Yeah, you're going to be the fireman, but when the FI comes, you should have knowledge of what the FI is doing, what he's looking for.
Right. Yep.
When you're the fire chief, yeah, you're on this side of the radio, but you should have knowledge of what the dispatcher's doing on the other side of the radio.
Mm.
And we do that. So when we hire new dispatchers at work, they have like a 6 or 7 week academy dispatch class that they go through. Um, and one of the days there is focused at our firehouse, and it's just on firefighting. We go over apparatus with them, whether they know it or not. Some people know it; they are firemen. Some people come in and they've never seen a fire truck a day in their life.
Mm.
But we go through it. We teach them what the fire department is doing. So when you're hearing things on the radio, or when fire chiefs are asking you things, you understand why. We've
Yeah.
also put out a class that fire departments can now come up one-on-one, so they're seeing what we're seeing on our side. So everyone gets some type of idea of what the other people are doing.
Mm. Dude.
I'm never
It,
gonna ask anyone to be
smooth move.
proficient or an
Yeah.
expert in anything, but I want you to have knowledge.
Yeah. At least know
You
the
don't have
basics, right?
Yeah, you don't have to go out and be a technical rescue guy, but if you're going dispatch to a rope rescue or a trench rescue, when you get on scene, you better know what to have to set up or what you can and can't do before the tech rescue team gets there.
Yeah. Smooth. I got so I at least two more questions I can think of, and then
Yeah,
we'll get you
absolutely.
on your day. You're obviously you're passionate about the fundamentals, brother, and I love it. I absolutely love what is one skill that you kind of think that the fire service is slipping on today, or is let me rephrase that. What's a basic skill you think that is slipping in today's fire service culture?
That's a really good question. Honestly, as stupid as this sounds, common sense.
Amen.
I think the fact that we still have fire chiefs that get on scenes of motor or that car accidents, and they're asking me, "Is EMS being dispatched to this?" Well, yeah, of course they are. It's a car accident. Like, why would they not be? Like dumb stuff like that really grinds my gears. And then on top of
Yep.
that is I know we are there to serve the public, and I'll never argue that. However, I think the fire service has gone too far into that,
Okay.
which leads us to doing stuff that really isn't a fire department issue.
Ooh.
Like,
Yes, I like where you're going with this. I think.
like I'm not saying, so let's look at it this way. A fire department goes to a water leak or whatever, all right?
Yep.
You get dispatched for it. It is what it is. That's fine. But sometimes people are getting dispatched out to it because they're like, oh, can you page out my department? So and so called, so they have a water leak. We're going to go to it. Well, you're going to a water leak. So guess what? You're taking your first new engine to that or whatever you're
Mm-hmm.
taking. And most likely it's nonsense. So you're going to take your driver, maybe an officer, and two either exterior firemen or young guys who aren't that great because it's a nonsense call. Well, now you're tying up that resource. Some people say you're not going to tie up the resource because if you get a fire, you're obviously going to leave, right? Correct. However, what are you leaving with?
That's true. Yeah, resource management. You're
Yes.
spot on.
Yep. There
Um,
needs to be something that's like this just isn't a fire department issue. In our county now, we have this policy through we follow like the dispatch academy pro Q&A stuff, and they now have the policy that anytime there's a wire down, the fire department goes. Well, we're getting
yep.
sent out to like cable wires down and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
in my
same here,
opinion,
brother.
if it's not sparking or on fire, it's not a fire department issue.
Dude, so true.
Like,
Preach. I
if you
love
don't
it.
know what it is, a cop car can go, block it, and the utility company can come out and check it out.
Amen. Yeah. Dude, you're
Like,
spot on.
there are some people who argue the injuries versus unknown injuries stuff for MVAs. There are some departments that don't go to unknown injuries. We still do. I'm a big proponent because you never really know. Most of these calls that you get are people driving by and you don't know what's going on. So there's been calls that we've gotten that sound like they're legit and they're complete nonsense. There's been calls we've gone to that sound nonsense and there's people trapped in the car. So as a chief, I'm not willing to take that risk to determine which one's going to be a bad accident or not. But
Yeah, yep.
if you're physically telling me there's a wire down, it's not on fire, why are we going?
We and I think it's one of those, it's somebody calls for help and they have no idea who else to send out. And
Correct.
we are the catch-all. And it's so I'll give you a funny story because you sort of hit on it. Um, with people asking, if EMS has been toned out to to accidents and stuff. Well, we run into a lot. So our dispatch office does police, fire, and EMS for all three of our communities. And we're working slowly toward trying to get a like town ops channel for car accidents that the police can use, that we can use in the ambulance, because we're all three separate entities. And so what we run into a lot now is we'll let dispatch know, hey, wrecker's on scene. That generally speaking, the call for the wrecker and the notice that the wrecker is on scene is usually handled like 99% of the time by the police.
Yep, us too.
And so, but it's funny as hell because some of our officers have started being like, "Hey, wrecker's on scene," and of course, if I'm near an engine, I can monitor two different channels.
Yep.
So it's funny as hell because it's like the PD's like, "Yeah, wrecker's on scene," and then seconds later across the fire channel, "Hey, wrecker's on scene." It's like, dude, we're
So
like,
we get the same
like,
thing, man. Like, we'll get a fire chief call. First off, if a fire chief asks us for a wrecker, we won't even acknowledge it.
no way, that's
We'll
awesome.
come flat over on the radio. We'll acknowledge it. We'll tell you, like, that's a PD issue, not you. Like, we don't do that.
I love it,
But
dude.
it's funny because we'll have the fire and EMS desk are right next to each other.
Oh,
So, like, I'll
Jesus.
hear ambulance 1, I'm on scene, and then
Yep.
I'll hear the fire chief calling. He'll be like, "Yeah, be advised, EMS is here." I'll be like, "Yeah, bro, I know." Like,
Dude, and it's I that if I was in your seat for that, dude, that would be my biggest pet peeve and drain on my desire to help, because it's just it no it, again, it goes back to what you just said, knowing people's roles, right? So if we understand that, okay, PD calls in, car versus pole, our only job as a fire department is to go. We're still a little old school, and we disconnect the battery, we check for fluids, stuff
yeah,
like
we do
that.
that sometimes. Yeah. Yep.
So we've sort of fallen into we've always done it that way. So literally, dude, anything, the batteries get disconnected, which I think we're doing more harm than we are actually good. Just leave the car energized. If it's fine, you're good. But anyways, any car into the pole, the PD radio is the pole, or whatever the case is, or utilities are on scene. Like, that's not
No.
it's
Yeah,
just
I
it's
get it.
knowing whose responsibility it is. And it's so one of my really good friends is the assistant director, I should say, for our comm center. So I'll screw with, like, if I know it's a really low call day, like he's just slow around the office, I can hear PD radio and I will key the mic and I'll radio in, command a fire alarm, and he knows exactly what I'm going to say, and
Of course. Yeah.
I'll be like, disregard, and I'll let it go, right? Cuz just cuz, right? But but there are some guys like, yeah, wrecker's on scene. I mean, we could go on a whole tangent as far as communications, as
Yeah.
far as like how people, will talk and they'll say things over the radio. It's like, that means nothing to me. You're giving me information that is completely useless right now.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of things that kind of like grind my gears that I feel as a fire department we're slipping as. But
Mm.
one thing that sticks with me, and it really sticks with me now, is a few weeks ago I opened up for Jeremy from National Fire Radio.
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
So
That was pretty cool, dude.
opened up for him. When I was done, we bullshit for a little bit, and then I watched his presentation,
Sure.
and it was amazing. He was great. He's engaging the audience. He is good at what he does. No matter what
Yep.
people say about him, you see the hate in the comments, whatever. I'm here to tell you the guy's a nice guy, and
Right.
he knows how to get the
Amen.
audience going. But one thing that he said in his presentation that I think the fire service is definitely failing on, and I agree with him 100%, is retention. Like,
Yes.
we
Yep.
focus on recruiting new people,
Mhm.
but you take me for example. I just had 75 people at my department election for chiefs. Like,
Yeah.
what instead of me saying I'm bringing on, I want to bring in new people, which we do, obviously, we want new people keep coming in. But what am I doing to keep those 75 people happy?
Oh, amen. Yep.
And he
And
went on a little bit of discussion about it, and it was like on point. I won't really discuss it too much, obviously, let him do his thing, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
he
that's
was on
it's
point with it.
huge. It is, and I think um we cry, I don't we almost cry foul, so to speak, as far as
Yeah.
we just can't get guys to show up, and I don't know what it is right now, but that video I made that something super short little TikTok video, and it seems to be popping off right now. And it was all about that. Is it's that people, we're not lacking volunteers. We're lacking people who want to show up in, be part of a defunct society or a culture that sucks. And, it's all about that. And
You know
um
what I say sometimes is I say 2 different things because it's 2 different options usually when you have a decent amount of people on your roster. It's either 1, s you don't have a manpower problem, you have a culture problem,
mhm,
or 2, you don't have a manpower problem, you have a laziness problem.
sure.
But at the end of the day, the culture you're creating is what creates laziness or not.
Yeah. Amen,
Because
dude.
if I have lazy firemen, then I need to make sure I have a culture that is gonna motivate them to not be lazy. And I think that's, like, one of the things that I'm big on with that. And I can't talk about that kinda stuff enough. Like,
Mm,
obviously, you want new people, but even that, you bring a new person in and they screw up on a fire scene, how are you handling it? You're belittling
right.
them in front of everyone, and then guess what? You're never gonna see them again.
Yeah,
Instead
amen.
of taking them away and saying, "Hey, you know what? This was a mistake. Here's why it was a mistake. Here's
Right.
what could have happened. Here's how we do it. Here's why we do it this way." You can learn from it. You won't make
Yeah.
that mistake again. And instead of belittling them, you just guided them. You
Oh,
treated them like they were a person
I love it, dude. I
instead of
love it.
saying, "Bro, you suck. Get out of here." Like, yeah,
Amen.
obviously, that's still going to be part of the brotherhood and
Mm,
busting balls and stuff like that. But like on an actual scene like that, they don't necessarily need to be yelled at. They need to have.
yeah.
Some people say I'm coddling them, but you're not coddling them because what are you doing? If you belittle them and they leave, you just lost a member who maybe
Right.
wanted to be there, who might have been good.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, if they can't take that, then they're not part of this brotherhood." No, that's not true. They don't
Yeah.
they've probably never seen that a day in their life before.
Yeah, that's the generational gap that
It
we
is.
have.
You can't even get yelled at by your
100%.
teachers in school anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
Nope.
I'm not gonna
Dude,
yell at you for doing a volunteer job. Like, come on.
yeah, well, that's the thing. You're gonna chew my ass out for something at 3 o'clock in the morning. Guess who's not gonna show up at the next three
Right.
o'clock in the morning call, right?
Exactly.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, so what? When is your last? Jesus, let me back up a little bit. You're terming out as far as chief. What have been some of your biggest accomplishments? Maybe some missed goals and some learning curves that came along the way of as your time at the top.
So some of my biggest accomplishments that I falls on me as fire chief, but I give the credit to my crew is the fact that since I've been fire chief, we haven't lost a house.
Okay,
Like,
I love it.
we've
Yeah,
had fires, they've rebuilt them, like, from still standing.
sure.
They've knocked down one because there was a lawsuit involved with the 2 homeowners, and mold grew within the building. So,
Okay.
once
Yep.
that happens, they knocked it down.
Yep.
So, I don't pin that on as an us fault. Uh,
Yeah.
the other buildings, we've created a culture in my department, myself, my lieutenants and captains behind me, that it's an aggressive thing. We're getting there quick. We're doing what needs to be done. Everyone goes home means the homeowner should be going home too. I
Right.
understand they're not going to be able to go back in their house right away, obviously, but you know what? Instead of losing the whole house, they lost 3 or 4 bedrooms in one side of it, and this part of the house is gonna be standing, and they're gonna just rebuild this side.
Sure. I
And I
love it.
take pride in that because it's showing a good aggressive stuff. Obviously, there are departments you show up, sometimes the house is gone before you get there.
But yeah,
Nothing you can do about that.
right.
But I've also been to fires where sometimes command decisions change what the outcome could have been.
Yep. Yep.
Where it's like, we're not going inside this building, or where I'm kind of saying, my guys, like, dude, we can get in there. Like,
Mhm.
we can get this. You can't fight a boxing match from standing outside the ring. Like,
Okay. I like
that's
that.
where
Yep.
I hate the term. Some people say it's not too good to be an aggressive firefighter, but like, why is aggressive firefighter a term? The job is aggressive. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand
Amen.
why it's a term. But so I think that's an accomplishment. Some missed goals, I think, are um maybe the not being able to get guys out at 2 a.m. As much as I like to.
Okay. Yep.
Um, and I'm not sure that I can do anything to fix that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
trying. The culture is good, but I think it's just the way of life, and I get it. Some guys don't wanna go to the automatic alarm, we have to work at
Yeah.
4 AM,
Right,
I
right.
get it. And I think some other things is simply that there's things I learn now that I wish I knew when I was coming up the ranks. Like, stuff that I am now preaching that I'm
Yeah,
like, "Yeah,
yeah.
I wish I knew that when I was an officer." Like,
Right.
it's almost like I wanna go back in time and do things that I am now learning. Um, because there is still, I go to every fire scene I go to, and guys are saying good job, and it is a good job. And I'm saying, listen, I'm able to talk about my experiences because the guys and girls in my department allow me to be the fire chief.
That's
They
awesome.
vote for
Yeah.
me. I don't take a test. I'm not appointed. They vote for me.
Yep.
They're the ones putting the fire out. They're the ones doing a good job. I just look pretty in the front yard or behind my Tahoe. Like, you know, they're the ones that are putting the fire out, doing a good job. Um, But even after that, there are still things that, like, I stop and I'll look at and I'll be like, "Hey, you know what? I should have had them do this instead of doing that."
Sure.
Because there is no perfect thing. Like, yeah, I go there and I'm like, "Yep, good job. It happened. It worked out regardless, but I should have done it this way." And I think people don't understand that no matter how experienced you are, no matter how good you are, tunnel vision is still gonna happen.
Right.
And you're still gonna focus on certain things. I've gotten the calls and I've completely messed up. I talk about something in one of my presentations that we went to a car accident on the highway, and it was a car kind of like into the guardrail, like the guardrail went through the car a little bit.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, in our area, that's not too uncommon. Like, it
Gotcha. Yeah.
happened.
Sure.
So it's not like I pulled up and I'm like, whoa, look at this. But I get there and I had 2 guys there and they were emptying groceries out of the trunk of the car. And I'm like, "Is everyone okay?" And they were like, "Yeah, we're good." They barely spoke English, but they're like, "Yes."
Sure.
So I canceled the med helicopter, I canceled the medevac, I canceled or the, mutual aid departments, and then a guy comes in the window and he says, "Can you go check on the girl in the car?" And I'm like, "Oh, no."
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, dumb me listened to them, didn't get out and do my own 360 of the incident.
Sure.
I go up there, I finally talk to her, and she's impaled by the guardrail.
Oh, jeez.
In
Okay.
shock. So when they were asking her if she's alright, she never really, like, said anything. She wasn't screaming, nothing.
Yep. Yep.
So but guess what I don't do anymore? I don't take anyone's word for it, I check it myself.
Amen.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
and so I think that's the thing that people need to remember is that tunnel vision still kinda happens, and I was so focused on the tunnel vision of that those guys were telling me everyone's alright because they were directly involved, that you still make your mistakes, and it's okay to make your mistakes.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Unfortunately, mine occurred in an actual incident, but
Right.
the outcome worked out alright. And I teach about it now because I want people to learn from it.
Yeah.
Listen, you can make fun of me all you want. They make fun of me at work for it still to this day sometimes,
Hey.
and that's
Right.
fine. I can take the ball busting because at the end of the day, I messed up. I'm well aware.
Yes.
But
Right.
now I could take my mistake and people can learn from it so that they don't make that mistake.
Dude, I love it. Awesome, man. Well, dude, this has been a fast hour. So I'll is there anything that you wanted to hit that we didn't before I wrap it up with our final question? Or do you think we've pretty much really covered everything that you had in mind?
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. We did, talk about my stuff. I mean, the Firehouse Tribune I could touch on a little bit. I'd like to.
Yeah.
Um, it's Nick has done a good job setting that platform up. I think he actually started it in like 15 or 16.
Okay.
And then in 20 I jumped on, and the Firehouse Tribune has turned into a platform.
All
It's no
right.
longer
Yep.
just one thing. So we have the Firehouse Tribune, which is our articles, and that's where we post our articles. People who contribute to us, they write their articles, we'll post it for them and stuff like that. And like Mike's writing something for us, so we're gonna put it on our page. Um, and then on top of that, Tri-State Fire Training. Yes, it's my own business, but it is part of the Firehouse Tribune. It is the
Yep.
training side of the Firehouse Tribune. Nick has his nutrition stuff that he does. He's great with that. Went to schooling for it. He's certified in it, and his tactical performance nutrition is what he does, and that's like its own branch of the Firehouse Tribune. And then we have the two podcasts. We have Station Talk, where I bring on different guests and stuff like that, talk about any type of topic from mental health to, cooking to operational wise, like anything that people want to talk about,
Yeah.
we'll put it on here. There's been topics on there that I haven't been crazy excited for, but I've had followers say, "Can you do a show on this?" So if a follower wants it, we're going to do it.
That's awesome. I love
And
it.
then Nick's podcast is the 5 Tool Firefighter, and he focuses out on his book, which was the 5 Tool Firefighter as well. So what we have built alongside with Nick is a platform for first responders to, at the end of the day, and long story short, to become the best versions of themselves, both on and off duty.
Mm, deep. I love it. I'm excited. Um, so the last question that everybody gets that's on the show is firefighters listening out there who are just starting their journey, whether into the leadership realm or even in just the fire service. So this is a good opportunity to kind of bring you back to that kitchen table at the house when you get the 16-year-old firefighters that are there. What is your raw and unadulterated advice for them?
Come in, know your job, learn your job. Don't be caught sitting in the firehouse just slacking playing video games when you don't know the equipment on the rigs. The rigs are filthy. Take pride. The firehouse is dirty. Take pride in where you are. An easy way to get picked on and not liked in the fire service is by coming in and not doing your time as a probationary firefighter. I get it. It sucks, but every single person that came in that firehouse has went through it. Keep your eyes shut, or your eyes open, your mouth shut, but don't be scared to ask questions either. Like if you need to know something, like ask the question. A good officer is going to help you. We have a group chat for our firehouses, which I imagine most firehouses in the country do nowadays.
Sure, sure.
But we have a group chat that has absolutely everyone in it, and then we have a group chat that has guys that are like with just the officers, and they're like 25 and younger in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the junior chat, even though most of them are juniors. It's like, and sometimes, like, I'll get to a second part about it, but they type in there, "Hey, anyone available to come down and go over the rigs with us?" Or anyone do this? Like, "Hey, I saw this in this video. What would you guys think of this?" And like, we'll
Yeah,
talk about it. We'll build a culture in there. But at the same time, sometimes the officers are just sitting back watching, and these 18, 19-year-old kids, they're going at each other. And it's like the funniest shit ever.
that's
Like,
fucking
I'll literally
awesome.
be
I love
living
it.
vicariously through them. Like, you know, but don't be scared to try to get to know the older guys too. Like, make an
Mm,
attempt to know them, and then a good officer should be getting to know the young guys. There's no doubt.
yeah.
But don't be scared just because you're the young guy to not approach some of the older guys and introduce yourself and kind of see what's going on. But I like the keep your eyes open, your mouth shut, know your role, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you're not part of Firehouse yet, but sometimes young guys come in and they shoot their mouth off about stuff that they really shouldn't be shooting their mouth off about.
Sure. Yep.
We have 3 stations in our firehouse, in our fire department. And right now, the 3 stations, the young guys all get along. But a
Yep.
few years ago, it wasn't always like that. And you would hear a guy that's in our firehouse like for a year and he's bashing one of the 2 companies. And we're like, you're too new to be doing that, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
you can't have that mentality yet, you know? Thankfully, that's kind of gone. And I like to think that I assisted building that culture,
Sure.
that they all get along. They have their own group chat too. One of the most difficult things in my fire department is most departments that have more than one house, the junior guys all go to the same school.
Gotcha.
Well,
Okay.
in my fire department, our 3 firehouses are all in 3 different school districts.
Really? Okay.
So the young guys go to from my firehouse, go to one school, and station 2 and 3 go to 2 other different schools.
No way. All right.
So
Okay.
the only time they see each other is at calls or training and stuff like that. As
Hmm.
to our other departments, you're in other companies, but you see each other in school. So you
That's
can
pretty
build
cool.
that bond. Yeah. Granted, now they're all kind of older and they're all out of school, so it's not really a thing anymore. But they're
Sure.
friends. Like I said, they have their own chat. They're solid. There's like, we it's y- that's my message to the young guys and to the
Love it.
older guys. Include the young guys in things. It makes them
Mm.
feel a lot better than you think. I can tell by including my young guys that they'll respect me as a fire chief when the time comes, but they'll look at me like a friend when I need to. And I'm not if I'm sitting at the table having coffee or lunch with them, I don't need them to look at me as a fire chief.
Sure. Exactly.
Right. I'm not, just look at me as a guy hanging out. I have no issue if things are taken care of in the firehouse. I have no issue going down there and playing Xbox with them or PlayStation, whatever we have.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. You know, I love it.
That's
Like,
so awesome.
yeah, we just had Christmas dinner at my house. The first thing my girlfriend said to me, we hosted, and we host every year for Christmas.
Yeah.
First thing she said to me is, text junior chat, make sure all the kids have a place to go for Christmas dinner. Like, yeah. So I think that's one of my things that I would put out to them and even to the older guys. It's important. We're all on the same team. The officers treat them like humans. Like, your rank doesn't mean shit. Like,
Right.
especially in the volunteer house for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna sit here and belittle a guy that last week voted for you to be in that position. Like,
That's such a
what
good
are we
point,
doing?
dude.
Like, this guy just went there and said, "Yeah, I want him as my captain, or I want him as my chief or off or lieutenant, whatever the case might be."
Sure.
He made a simple mistake because he's young and green, and you just yelled at him for it.
Oh, dude. I think you hit on something with the chats. It's and what I think is fun about being a younger old head, I guess. If that, I think that's probably where we can probably put ourselves now as generationally, because I'm the same age as you are.
Mm.
Um, it's fun because we're able to make ourselves. Remember the old fashioned days when she was like, "My door is always open if you have any." That was the
Yeah,
biggest line of crap ever. The door was
correct.
it was open as far as hinge open, angle of the hinges on the door, but as far as it being open and you being approachable, they never were. You being there, and I'll agree, man. Like I wouldn't if we're on the fire ground, if guys want to, reach out to me, hey chief, what do you think? That's okay. I get it. It's the we're in combat type thing. But if we're around the firehouse, man, JP is all I need. That's the most important. Mom and
Yeah.
dad gave me that name, and that's the one that I care about
Yep.
the most.
Dude,
Um,
I have
it's
no issue.
huge.
In my chief's office, I have a TV, I have a mini fridge.
Mm,
Like, I'm gonna doing paperwork. The young guys come in there.
that's so cool.
Dude, they're at a point, like, some people might think it's disrespectful. They don't even knock anymore. They just walk right in. Like, my door is my door is literally always open. It's, like, wide open. Like, they'll walk in and sit down, like, "Hey, chief, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Working." Like,
Yeah.
and it's alright because I like the fact that they are comfortable enough to be able to do that.
Yes, it's
Like,
it bodes well for growing a good culture. So,
yeah.
um,
Yep.
brother, I love it. Well, listen, man, I cannot thank you enough for your time for hopping on today.
Of course, man. I'm glad we
And
finally got to do
it's
it. We
dude,
found a
right
little,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Um, so thanks again for the listeners and the viewers, guys. Thank you so much for spending time with us today on The Passionate Leader. If something today hit home, please don't just sit on it. Make sure you share it and get it to that person that really needs to hear it. If you want to be part of something bigger, the passionate leader, you should follow it across all platforms and be part of the conversation that we have every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on TikTok Live, where we have our kitchen table talk. It's very similar to what we do with our podcast. It's a place where leadership gets to meet the kitchen table and real talk fuels real change. The biggest thing is be the leader that someone else is praying for. More specifically, be the leader that you were praying for when you joined the fire service. And no matter what comes your way, always remember this: lead with passion, serve with humility, and leave no room for bottom feeders. Until we meet again, guys, stay safe.